Hello, everyone. I am Sherry Hunter, and I am with Wendy. Say hi, Wendy.
Hi, everybody.
Wendy is so special to me. We are neighbors, and I have admired Wendy because, in addition to being a wonderful wife and mother, I see her walking with her kids all the time. She's also doing some amazing things in her career. Tell everyone, Wendy, what you do.
So I'm in advertising. I'm actually the EVP brand leader at an advertising agency called Donor here in Detroit. And I basically am the brand lead for a series of accounts within the agency.
She runs things, y'all. She's running things. And she is such an inspiration to so many women and men, even, as she has managed to climb the corporate ladder. We were talking about what it means to be daring with everyone, because daring to live means so many things, as Wendy was sharing. Tell us a little bit, Wendy, about what it means to you.
To be daring?
To be daring.
Yeah, I think daring has a lot of facets, really. I think probably one of the biggest ones is not letting fear stop you, right? Just having that courage inside of you to keep you going and really give you that momentum to push through. And you got to push through because there's going to be lots of struggles, and you're not going to continue to grow if you don't have those sort of obstacles presented to you. But the real power comes when you can sort of dig deep and fight against those obstacles to move forward.
Yeah, and there's so many obstacles, right? I mean, there's obstacles in careers, in our personal lives, but we still, for those of us who get up, we persevere, right?
Yep.
So that's the goal. So tell me about what has been inspirational to you, because as I shared, from afar, you inspire me, but I know there's probably others who have inspired you. Who are they?
I think I look to people for different reasons for inspiration, right?
Yeah.
I have some personal friends of mine that I feel are inspirational just from a personal perspective, family, life, well-being, that sort of thing. And I really look to one of my really good friends, actually. She's very much into nutrition and health and wellness, and I don't have the luxury of having so much time in my life to sort of research those things, and I look to her, and I really find that inspiring.
Yeah.
And then from a professional perspective, I think I look not only within the category that I work in, but also just in business in general.
Right.
And I start to see some of these women leaders popping up, in a society where we're used to seeing so many men at the head of the table. And I find that truly inspiring and motivating. And I said to myself early on, I want to be a leader.
Yes.
And I know there's going to be obstacles along the way, but sometimes you got to pull up those bootstraps and you got to keep going.
Yeah. I don't take it lightly that you are an executive VP at a major agency. This is an agency that does like some Fortune 500 companies.
Yep.
And so what do you think has aided you as you have climbed the corporate ladder? Because, again, it's impressive.
Thank you. Probably a few things. Again, I think one is just having a support system truly that's been very supportive of me and helping me grow and give me the opportunities to try new things. The agency that I work at fortunately has lots of different accounts, so I have been exposed to a variety of different verticals and such. I also think just having determination, right?
Yeah.
Like not wanting to give up and always wanting to keep pushing forward. I am sort of a competitive person.
You need to be a competitive person in order to do anything successfully, right?
And so not only amongst my peers or whatever, but mostly with even for myself, right?
Yeah.
Like, sure, when it comes to sports, all my life growing up, I found that like a motivating factor.
Yeah.
But just even amongst myself and trying to push forward and get to that next level, I always said to myself, like, what's next, right? What's on the horizon that I can look towards, that I can sort of work towards?
The ad agency has really been dominated by men for so many decades. And it still is kind of a men's club.
Yep, for sure.
And so what do you say to young women who are looking to make their imprint in that field?
Don't give up.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to express your opinions. That's super important. I always feel like if you're in a room with a lot of people, you have to be heard, right? Don't be the wallflower. I also think it's really important that you find a mentor. who can sort of help you navigate, give you different perspectives along the way.
Right.
Because sometimes you sort of get in the thick of things and
Yeah.
you lose perspective at times, and it's really can be frustrating. And to have the opportunity to speak to somebody along the way throughout your
Yeah.
journey can be super instrumental in helping you keep moving forward.
Yeah. Now, what I see often with you, Wendy, is that, when you're out here and you're managing your career, you travel, you might have long hours, and you have little bitty kids. So, how do you manage home with work?
Oh, that's a daily task. And it changes every day.
Yeah.
I think for me, one, it's communication, right? So I'm fortunate to have a husband who's super supportive of me and my career. He loves being at home with the kids.
Yeah.
He works as well, but he loves spending time with the kids, and he's super it's a 50-50 play in our house, and he often actually takes on more of the day-to-day responsibilities of the shuffling and such. But because I do have a demanding career, it's important for me when I can find time to sort of break away from work or take an extra 15 minutes here and there to spend those quality moments with my kids, and be okay with it. There are going to be times where you just have to sort of put parameters or guardrails around your life. You come home, you got to say, okay, I'm just going to turn things off from a work perspective for a while and focus on my family and and really be present. I think that's sort of something that is challenging when you have a family and a career at the same time, that are both demanding.
Yes.
It's how do you find time and energy to be really present in those moments?
Yeah. I was thinking about, being daring, and, what are some of the things that you could say to yourself when you look at yourself? Because we look at others and we say, oh, we look on Instagram and look at their perfect lives, what are they doing? But when we so infrequently look at ourselves, what is it one thing that you're really proud of, that you've achieved, mastered, conquered?
I think this is just like a personal accomplishment, but when I graduated college, I was living in Detroit, in the Detroit area for about a year, and I was presented with an opportunity to move down to Florida, and it was scary.
Yeah.
I didn't know anybody there, but it was a work opportunity, and it was considered a promotion, and so I took it. I kind of came from the mindset, growing up, my dad always sort of instilled in me that you gotta go where your career is going,
That's
especially
right.
when you're early on, and saying yes to something will probably open up doors for other things.
Yes.
And so I took it, and was it easy at first? No, I didn't really know anybody.
Right.
But 10 or 12 months later, I had a circle of friends and a network, and I was doing well at my career and so forth. And I think that gave me a ton of personal growth.
Yes.
Because I really had to just turn inward, right, and find my way in this new city.
Yeah, that is something that's challenging to go somewhere you've never gone before. But for some of us, I know there's been times when I've frozen.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why did I freeze? Why do you think that daring to live, really going after what you want, sometimes is so difficult?
I think probably part of it is because it's the uncertainty, right?
Right.
It's the uncertainty of not knowing. And I think that can often prevent people from being daring and taking advantage of certain opportunities. But again, I think that's where you sort of got to look inward and dig in and say, okay, well, what do I want out of this?
Yeah.
And does my fear outweigh what I want?
Yes.
Right? And I think if the answer is yes, then maybe you hold back. But if it's not, then you jump forward with both feet in.
One of the things you had mentioned was that you had a friend who was into healthy eating. And, being daring, so often people think it means jumping off a cliff. Like, I've done that,
Right.
but it's not all of that.
No.
It's really about having that balance of mind, body, spirit, emotions. Right?
100%.
So what do you feel is the secret ingredients to having all of that? Because, trying to manage all of that, okay, it's almost like, a plate, and you have, you're juggling a plate on a stick. And then just when you have one plate going strong, one is wobbling, right?
It's true.
How do you have that mind, body, spirit, emotion,
I think part of it is having, is finding me time. I think if you can't find me time, you don't really have that time to sort of reflect on what you're doing and how you're affecting different facets of your life.
Right.
And so for me, I always try and take time out of my week, whether it be to go for a run or go to a yoga class.
Yes.
And, you know, for me, I always find it surprising. I go and do those things, and I often find myself sort of just reflecting on things or thinking about how to improve upon certain things. And you get so busy in your life and so busy in those moments that you don't have time to sort of take a step back for a minute. But I have found exercise has really been a way for me to sort of balance that and find the me time that I need.
It really does. You know, studies show that, you know, exercise just relieves stress in so many it actually, you know, for people who have conditions, it helps just alleviate those things.
For sure.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
All right. So 2020 is coming.
Yes.
And I'm really excited about the next decade. Are you excited?
I am. You know, it's like the turn of a new chapter, right?
Yes.
And I think it gives people an opportunity to set new goals and look at things from a fresh perspective.
Yes.
So we're super excited.
All right. So what are you and your family, or what is it something that you want to, you know, it's like this interview. You know the interview that people have where the HR person says, what do you see yourself doing in the next 5 years? You know, it's kind of odd.
It makes me laugh.
It makes me laugh. Like, I don't know. Like, your job? I mean, I don't know.
Right.
You know? But, you know, okay, so here's the question. What do you see yourself doing in that next decade that's totally different than what you've done in this decade?
Totally. Travel. You know,
Travel.
I think the past 10 years for me, at least within my family, has been so focused on itty bitty kids.
Yeah.
And they're getting to that point where they can now sort of hit the ground running with us. And my husband and I both love to travel. And, you know, we can do the Florida trips, the quick trips to Charleston or what have you. But we definitely want to go travel more. And now that they are a little bit older, they can keep up and we don't have to worry about the strollers and all that. So I think travel is super important too, just because it helps give you influence on different cultures and perspectives of different people all over the world. And I also think it's a wonderful opportunity for your children.
Yes.
Because if you look at it from the opportunity as it's a learning opportunity.
Right.
They are learning all sorts of different things when they travel, how to manage people of different cultures, all that stuff.
Yeah. And you know, when you're, you have little kids, so what are they, 7?
7 and 5.
7 and 5. All right. So, you know, it's you're their mother, but you're also, you know, we're each of our children's, you know, role model in so many ways. They're looking at you and saying, okay, wow, my mother is doing these things. What is the one impact that you want when your children are viewing you? Because, you know, they're silently assessing you.
Yes. Every single day.
You know?
Yes.
What is the thing that you want to leave for them? What is the legacy that you want to leave for them as their mother?
Yes.
And being daring?
As their mother, and through the lens of being daring, it's for me, I think it's about it's sort of leading with compassion. I so want them to be compassionate people, but I also want them to be sort of driven, right? And my hope is that by them witnessing what my efforts are, not only with them, my husband, and my career, they can see that you don't have to be a one-pronged person, right? You can have many facets of your life and be happy and be compassionate and still be successful.
Yes, that's so true. You know, I often think that, you know, the hardest part is that first step, right? So, you know, can you think of a time when there was you had to make that first step and it was like, oh my gosh, am I really going to do that? Or, you know, how am I going to do that? Can you think about it and, you know, that initial feeling you had about, or some trepidation you may have had? For me, when I was starting to run, I was like, I don't see this happening.
I think that every day when I go
Yes, because I know I see you out there. So, you know, can you think of a moment where it was like, oh my goodness, this first step, just the first step is just shaking me in my boots?
Going back to when I moved to Florida. I think that was a huge moment for me personally. I was still pretty young. And just so much uncertainty, not knowing anybody, new job, new location. I had a lot of fear. Every day got easier. So, you know, first getting down there, it's like just, you know, feeling comfortable leaving your house.
Right.
Not knowing where you're going, but also just going to the pool. I don't know anybody. So I think that to me was a huge moment in my life that I had a lot of trepidation at first. And then there's like smaller moments in your life, just sort of your everyday thing, to your point, when you're talking about exercising and taking on new types of exercising, right?
Yeah.
Like whether it be cycling or a bar class.
Yes.
Just going to those initial classes sometimes it's the fear of uncertainty and you don't know. But my goal for me is always to try to find a healthier way of living and try to bring some new excitement into the physical aspect of my life, and so that to me was important enough for me to sort of take on those new classes, even though they might be hard or new moves or what have you.
You know, and as we will finish up, I think it's so important to see the journey, that young person, that young woman who was afraid to leave what was, you know, new to her for something foreign, and then see you now.
Yep.
You know, the journey.
Thank you.
And so I just want to thank you for being so inspiring.
Of course.
You know, I'm sure some of you out there, you're listening to Wendy, and you know, you might be going through that yourself, that first new job, trying to master how to, you know, make your way up. But I just want to encourage all of you to just give it your all and do what Wendy said, you know, just keep at it, you know, just keep at it and make that first step. Thanks so much, everyone, and take care. Thanks, Wendy.
Absolutely. Thanks all.
Bye-bye.